before our newly elected mayor formally opens tonight's council meeting, Mayor Grubb's going to take the oath of office and be witnessed by JP, and the meeting will be yours.
I, Leanne Gray, having been elected to the office of Mayor of the Yorke Peninsula Council, undertake to faithfully and impartially fulfil the duties of office in the public interest to the best of my judgment and abilities and in accordance with the Local Government Act 1999. Smoothly as I can for my first meeting. I'm not nervous at all. So I formally open this meeting by acknowledging the District of Narunga and the traditional custodians on this land on which we gather. I pay my respects to those who have walked this land before us and to those who walk it today. May we all find our connection to country and its surrounding waters. I will welcome the councillors and the gallery to stand for the opening prayer. As we gather here in service to our community, let us approach our work with wisdom, respect and integrity. Guide our decisions to be fair and thoughtful, reflecting the best interests of all we represent. May our actions today contribute to a stronger, united community. Thank you. Present. We don't have any leave of absence or apologies for tonight. So I'm going to move on to conflict of interest. So before we proceed, I'll remind all elected members of their responsibility to disclose any general or material conflicts of interest in relation to the items under consideration. Councillors who would like to declare a conflict of interest for just the open part of the meeting, I'll welcome you to address these now with the item it relates to, and we will address the details at the item.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a general job declare for 25.1. These stand for dry zone. My annual declaration.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer. Minutes of the previous meeting. So we'll start with the ordinary council meeting, 10th of September 2025. I'll welcome the councillors to move the minutes. Councillor Clerk and seconded by Councillor Johns. All those in favour? Carried. The confidential council meeting, 10th of September 2025. We're going to do these in two sections. So the first one, 27.1, section 91, confidential order review. I'll welcome the councillors to move that one. Councillor Lefebvre, and seconded by Deputy Mayor Carruthers. All those in favour? That's carried. And then confidential council meeting, 10th of September 2025. The item 27.2, bitumen resealing rehabilitation program. Councillor Stock moved and Councillor Clerk seconded. All those in favour? And that's carried. So we have nil motions on notice. We've got nil questions on notice. Are there any questions without notice? Thank you. No petitions. So we are going to the Mayor's monthly report. So I'll just note that this has been the activities by Deputy Mayor Carruthers acting in the role of Mayor, and then on the 30th of September back in his deputy role. Thank you very much for participating in everything that you have done over the last few months. Any questions, or would councillors like to move that report be received? Councillor Johns? councillors?
Yes, Mayor, I'll move that report be accepted and once again reiterate your thanks to the acting, as he was acting Deputy Mayor for all the time that he spent coming sort of without sort of warning and there's been a lot going on with our region that council brothers had to deal with, whether it be here, state level or federal level. So I acknowledge the contribution that council, Deputy Mayor Carruthers has committed. Thank you.
And seconder, councillor Stock? All those in favour? That's carried. So we had nil councillors' reports, so we're going to move on to the information agenda. Is there any comments or questions from the councillors in relation to anything in the information agenda? Councillor O'Connell?
Just in the action list, just the first item in that, I noticed the Telstra Tower's been, or the Equitel Tower that's been built at Innisberg has been delayed by another month. It was a month last time and another month this time. Is there a reason for that?
I'll pass over to the CEO. Director Gutberg?
So just in, so through Mayor, the answer to that one is basically we're getting that pushed out month on month, effectively just waiting the approval through the state government there. So at this stage we continue to wait. We are told that it is imminent, however they haven't been able to specify a date through that approval. So just waiting. So effectively, if we don't get that by next meeting, we'll extend it out for the next month.
Thank you.
Any further questions, or would somebody like to move that the information agenda be received? Councillor Meyer? Done and seconded. Councillor Murdoch? All those in favour? That's carried. Okay, so we're going to move on to item 20, visitors to the meeting. So I'm going to welcome Gina Boyd to come up and address the council. And this is in relation to the Yorktown Street Tree Project.
First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to our new mayor for your position. Okay. So we recently had to make a submission before council in regards to the Yorktown tree planting program. So I'd like to add a little bit to my submission. First of all, I'd like to thank the Yorktown Street Tree Project members for their intentions to see the Yorktown become a greener place to live and work and visit. Their intentions were well meant and will beautify, shade and enhance all our entryways into the town and unselected streets. The street trees can benefit from the community in various ways, but after careful consideration, a selection of trees suited to our climate, wind conditions and soil type might need to be looked at. These trees may well be suited to Brisbane or Adelaide, where there are wider roads and footpaths, but also green verges where the trees can be planted. However, they are also larger towns, not like Yorktown. There were some, I'm not sure where the tree sources, where the trees are being sourced from. I had a look at all the trees, the roots, the leaves, whether they're in deciduous or whatever, what the soil type was like for these trees to be planted in, etc. And found that my three sources, which started off with Google, then went up to Wikipedia, and then went up to the local people that actually sell these trees and know a bit about it. And the one I selected was probably the closest one, which was Adelaide Tree Farm. So the remarks from the Adelaide Tree Farm were, just bear with me, for the Gleditsia tricanthus continental, it grows 9 by 5 metres, shouldn't have a problem with the roots, can be pruned to be kept under power lines, not a tree I'd recommend as they drop seed pods everywhere. Council has planted them all up and down my street. They are a nightmare. This is the tree pod that comes off Gleditsia. And they're all over quite a few metres around the tree outside May's Nursery in Yorktown. So if anybody wants to go and have a look. So that's the tree pod. I sort of measured it against the ruler. We were getting pretty close to the 10 inches, if anyone knows the 12 inches from the ruler. So that's a pretty large seed pod, and there's heaps of them. Not really a good idea, seeing as the Gleditsia tricanthus continental is meant to be planted more than any other tree in 3 different streets. And so I would suggest that that might be a tree that might have to be looked at as to whether or not it will be planted. I actually am in favour, as I said, of the trees that are planted, a lot of them, but I did have 3 or 4 trees that maybe we might have to say, think about this one, because I'm not quite sure. Are they actually relevant to our district, soil type? Some of these trees, as I said before, come from also Adelaide and also Brisbane areas and parks, and that's where most of these trees are planted. And as most people will know if you've been to Yorktown, Yorktown is a lot smaller than Brisbane or Adelaide. Our streets are a lot narrower. Our paths, we have some footpaths, some of them are gravel. We don't have any green verges in those areas. So where are the trees going to be planted? It's looking like it's going to be on the footpath. If it's on the footpath is most of the footpaths are between like around 2 metres, especially Anderson Terrace, 2.5 metres. None of them, I believe, have any green verges, which makes it very difficult to plant it. However, I'm not against it because I actually think we need to do something in Yorktown to beautify it and maybe do some things about it, but perhaps the selection of the trees we might have to look at, because I don't know of any of those trees that have successfully grown there without a lot of maintenance, especially things like the Gleditsia and the tuckaroo and the forest pansy and the celtis. But going back to the Adelaide plant farm, the Ulmus parviflora Todd, which grows 10 metres to 11 metres, they said it shouldn't have a problem, can be pruned and kept under power lines and is a nice tree, but gets pretty big. That's pretty general sort of a comment. And the next one is Acacia implexa, which grows 5 to 15 metres. So that's another one with roots as being a disadvantage. So maybe we need to look at root areas, because some of them can be, as some people in council, especially in Yorktown, know, they've planted trees that are much smaller in front of council. And if you walk past there, you'll see there are buckles in the paving, and some of the pavers had to come up, or tripping hazards, and so not something that's going to be able to take 10 metres or 11 metres of height. So that's something we may be looking at, might need to look at as well, is what sort of plants are we actually going to plant. The Celtis australis grows 11 to 10 metres. Speaking from experience, I wouldn't recommend this tree. This is from Adelaide Plant Farm. It drops nuts everywhere. Roots are a problem with the pavers. Just out of curiosity as well, and just out of interest, I thought I'd tell you, the Gladitia is also called the honey locust. It's commonly known as the thorny locust or thorny honey locust. It's a deciduous tree in the family Fabaceae, native to central North America, where it is mostly found in a moist soil of river valleys. Honey locust trees are highly adaptable to different environments, and species have been introduced worldwide. However, outside its natural habitat, which is not Yorktown, that's not its natural habitat, it can be very aggressive, damaging and invasive species. In the 2004 Government Act of Queensland, they have been described as a noxious weed not to be planted anywhere in Australia. If anybody knows of anyone who has grown this tree, knows or sells this tree, please be in touch with us. What's the comment? So the forest pansy, which is called Circus canadensia, is no problem with the roots. It's a nice tree, but it does need watering through the summer. So that is another problem. Who is going to actually water them in the summer when it needs watering? Because where they're going to be planted, they're out in the open and they need a lot of management. So also the other thing with Anderson Terrace, which is a reason why I bring up Anderson Terrace, because that's got the bowling club, that's got the football oval, that's got all those sorts of things that people use that road for. And a lot of people do use it. It's also got the Tuesday night schnitzel night, which is very well attended every Tuesdays when they have it. And we know that the football oval is used for many other events apart from just football as well. On that street, Anderson Terrace, the roadway is only less than 2 metres where people can walk. It's a fairly narrow sort of a street and gets a lot smaller up one end of Anderson Terrace. I have a picture which nobody's going to see probably, but I'll just show you quickly. That's a truck that uses Anderson Terrace with a little small car driving next to it, which doesn't leave you much room for anything else. The reason why I say that is because the paths being a lot less than, because I've measured them myself, a lot less than 2 metres. By the time you plant the tree 500 millimetres from the curb or the gutter, you are then looking at how big is the hole going to be if it's a 5 metre tree. If it's going to be 1 metre, where are people going to walk? Where are NDIS people going to drive, or walkers, or prams, or anybody else that wants to use the streets? You know, there's no room for the walking. Not to mention the tree. Most of the trees that have been mentioned are sort of like a 5 metre wide tree, which means, you know, a good 3 metres of the tree could be in someone's yard. Where are the roots going to go? Straight to where the people in the yard are watering their lovely gardens, because they're not going to go towards the road, are they? There's no water there. And the other place where some of these trees' roots will go will be in the gutter and block the gutters up, which are already sometimes a problem in the area. So this is just what I'd like to suggest to you guys is I would like to see tree planting trees go ahead. However, it needs to be considered as to what is the soil type, How big are the roots? Are they invasive to foundations and houses in the street? Is the bowling club going to be happy with any of these Bleditsia trees being grown there? Because, or are they going to be picking up pods every season and cursing the tree like Adelaide Farm tree growing place? So maybe I'll just leave this all with you, but I do suggest maybe you'll be looking for another meeting and looking for more alternative ideas to improve Yorktown, but with more appropriate trees, maybe.
Thank you, Gina. We're now going to get Rob Daniel to come up. So he's heading the Yorktown Street Tree Project, and he may be able to address some of those concerns.
Good evening, thank you for your time. Thanks Gina for your introduction and your interest in the program overall. You spent a lot of time talking about Bleditsia being a honey locust. It is not in fact the honey locust form that we're going to use. Honey locust is the yellow form of the Bleditsia tricanthus, and that these days is grafted onto a different rootstock anyway. But yes, when they do shoot, they've got terrible, terrible thorns. None of the other varieties of Bleditsia that you can buy, of which there are about another 3 or 4, including Shademaster, Continental, Ruby Lace, another one that doesn't come to mind, are not the same rootstock as honey locust. All the trees that we have mentioned in our report are locally grown in South Australia, do very well, and the trees that we selected for each particular street are done so keeping in mind to keep under power lines, keeping in mind the root growth and whether or not they drop limbs. All of the trees stay within these guidelines. There was something else I was going to mention.
Footpath locations, adherence to the road,
Sure.
and also water.
While we did nominate certain species, there has been the need to divert some of this to a similar species. One is the Acacia implexa, which is no longer available, and we've substituted that for pistachio. The reason we've done that is because it's a small tree positioned under power lines. There is a list, in fact, of trees that are allowable to be planted under power lines, so we don't want trees that we trim. These grow automatically to a set height, and that's it. Trees within footpaths, the Anderson Terrace area is wide enough that we stay within the limits of planting the tree to the centre of the trunk, 600 millimetres from the back of the gutter, and still leave the prescribed 1.2 metres for access of wheelchairs and mobility machinery. It's only the southern end of Anderson Terrace that in fact is on the list. The northern end, the street narrows by nearly a metre, and Memorial Drive, where the bowling green is has only got nominated 5 trees for the street on the side of the bowling green. Because the tree only grows 10 metres, there's 20 metres from the footpath to the fence of the bowling club. The bowling club sent us a letter to say that they were going to be a little bit concerned if we put trees there because they'd shade the green and drop rubbish all over the bowling green and take water from the greens being watered. Well, I've done some calculations on this, and the sun at 5:30 p.m. on the 12th of December in any year is at 53.42 degrees from the horizon. This doesn't even give a shadow just over halfway to the bowling green itself from the tree at full grown height. So the greens won't be in shade at any time. And as far as the watering goes, that whole area has subterranean water, so it's not going to take anything from the bowling green. There is a natural movement of water that comes through the town towards the lake that used to be adjacent to the bowling green, which is now housing, and goes towards the school lake, and that drains into that particular area. All this is on Google if you want to look. Trees in pavement, we're going to take out a square metre of paving from the gutter, 1200, from the gutter back 1200, and that'll allow our tree to be right in the centre of the hole and still leaving our prescribed 1200 for mobility access. There's also been a thought of using pots in some area. We can talk about this at a later date if people are concerned, but we've taken a keen interest in the species to make sure that they're not known for lifting papers like bottle brush, like Waruka has just put in, which I think is a mistake. And theirs is only 400 from the footpath, so let's hope they don't get too big. The line of species that we used is fairly indicative of what we want. When it comes to the time to actually plant, a lot of times the particular tree that you want isn't available, so you've got to substitute it. So we need a little bit of flexibility in that area so that we can keep within the requirements to keep under power lines and keep within a general species. The nettle, which is the Celtis australis, is planned for the Waruka Road. It's a majestic tree. I'm quite used to the tree. I had a whole road of them near where I lived in Adelaide, and they're just a beautiful tree. They're drought tolerant. The area that they were planted in was probably rockier than Yorktown, albeit different stone, and they just went through year after year, drought after drought, and they never showed any sign of stress. They are a beautiful tree for the purpose. Victoria Street listed Gladitsia as one. That has been changed in our last report, so if you haven't seen that, there was a bit of a mix-up with an earlier report getting on the website. That was changed midstream, and that has now been changed to Zelkova Green Bays, which is a Japanese elm. So very similar to Chinese elm, which don't grow that big either, by the way, in Yorktown because of the weather conditions, soil conditions, and the amount of rock that we have. They just don't get anything more than about 10 metres. And there's plenty of cases around the town where you can see that. In fact, they're just coming out into full leaf now, and they're an absolute picture. I don't think there are any other changes to any of the reports that I can think of offhand. Crepe myrtles do extremely well in Yorktown. They've been used for Anderson Terrace and part of Waterloo Bay Road. Tuckaroo is a native, one of the few natives we're using that are suitable for street trees. On the southern windiest part of Waterloo Bay Road, they'll do just fine. Chinese elms are for Stansbury Road. And Edithburgh Road has been substituted to Acer Negundo Sensation, which is a red leafed tree in autumn. Absolutely stunning tree, hardy, Unlike Ace and Agundo Kelly's Gold, it is not a prescribed pest like the Gladicia that Gina spoke of. I think that's it.
Is that, can I ask a question?
Go for it.
Is that the same tree, isn't it a gold tree that's outside May's nursery?
Sorry, what was that?
Is that a gold tree that's outside of May's nursery?
What a gold tree.
That's a yellow, the Gladicia is a yellow flowering tree.
Okay, that is probably the Gladicia you talk of that can sucker. That's not the Gladicia we're talking about at all.
Well, the other one's not a sucker.
No, the other ones don't sucker.
The one that May's nursery's got is not a sucker, it's one tree.
Okay,
Yeah, so I was thinking that would be the same tree, because it's got the same pots, and it's got the same,
not every tree suckers though, Gina.
So,
of the same species, I think so.
No, not even of the same species. I mean, you can have a row of 10 trees and 2 might sucker and the rest might not.
might even be something that you can arrange for your next meeting to have a bit of a discussion about some of those questions and how you can approach the project going forward. Thank you for your time, Rob.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, before you leave, can I just ask another thing? The bowling club are actually saying that the trees outside where you want to put them on that side of the road is actually used by cars every time they come. And where are they going to put all their cars? You've got to remember, Anderson Terrace is actually not just a normal road, it's also an access road.
That's not Anderson Terrace, Gina.
Gina,
No,
I'll
but
just,
I'm talking about the Gladicia. The Gladicia is...
Gina,
We're talking about.
what I'll do is I'll get you to put some of those concerns in writing to me.
Okay.
And then what I'll do is I'll pass them on to Rob and we'll get
That's
some
good.
answers and we can present them at the council meeting.
Okay,
And that's
thanks.
right, and that's
We were just looking to replace the gum trees that used to be there and everyone parked under.
Yeah, so we'll put
Okay.
a list together so that we can include that when it comes back to council.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Okay, so moving on to the debate agenda. Nothing from me and nothing from the CEO. So we're moving on to 23.1. Grosse Point proposed seawall funding by separate rate request. I'll open to the councillors for discussion and we do have a recommendation as well. Councillor. So moving the recommendation, do I have a seconder? Councillor O'Connell. Is there any further discussion or comments that want to be made about this one? No, we'll take this one to the vote then. All those in favour? That's carried. Okay. 23.2, the financial report as at 30 September 2025. Any comments, councillors, or would somebody like to move the recommendation? Councillor Hoyle? Recommendation moved, and Councillor Clerk will second that. Any comments, councillors? We'll go straight to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried. Okay, so 23.3, certification of the annual financial statements for 24-25. I just had something here that I'd like the council to consider. So I'm fine with the recommendation with a suggestion that we add and endorsed by Council's Audit and Risk Committee. It is in the report that that's part of the process, but I'm just going to suggest to the council that we actually include that information. So I'll pass over to you for that one. Councillor Knight?
If I can ask a question, Mr Mayor, how would you like the wording to be if you would like those words added?
So the recommendation as it stands and endorsed by Council's Audit and Risk Committee.
I'm happy to move that motion.
Excellent, moved as amended. Anyone to second that one? Councillor Murdoch? Any further questions, comments? No? All those in favour? Carried. infrastructure 24.1. We've got a few policy reviews. So this is policy review for policy 43, underground service installation policy. Over to you, councillors. Councillor Hoyle.
Move the recommendation.
Second it.
Thank you, councillor Carruthers. So moved by councillor Hoyle, seconded by councillor Carruthers. All those in favour?
Sorry, can I ask a
Sorry,
question?
councillor Mark.
Just, you did note, Mayor, that we're going through a fair few policies today. I know from previous attendances to audit risk committee meetings that we were looking at getting the LGA templates for the policies when they come to us, so we could actually see what the LGA is doing. Are we going in variance to that while we're going to variance and so forth? The other thing I'm thinking is some of these policies that are coming out tonight, do we need to have them as a policy anymore? Because I remember hearing staff previously say we've got so many policies. So I suppose I'm for moving this motion tonight. Move the motion, but I think maybe if we could consider going forward that we get supplied the template that if there is one, if there isn't one, we have a note in there saying there is no LGA template for this policy. And that way we don't have to ask this question. And separately, holistically, do we need all these policies? There's a lot of things here I think that are just a process that we've got as an internal process and require a policy for. But I would go with the motion tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything that you've said there, and we have had a discussion about how we'll proceed with this going forward. So,
Thank you.
So was that yesterday, Mayor?
come. All right, so we'll go to the vote on this one. All those in favour? That's carried. Okay. 24.2, Middleton 150th Celebration 4th Street Tree Planting Project. So this is the community engagement outcome and adoption. I'll open to the councillors as Councillor Johns.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move that recommendation. Thank you.
Fabulous. Councillor O'Connell.
So move,
Happy to second it. Fabulous. Any comments or questions in relation to this one? Yep. All those in favour? That's carried. So back to a policy review. Policy number 56, Council's infrastructure policy. Over to you, councillors. Councillor Mark.
Happy to move it, Mayor.
Moved. Councillor Hoyle, seconded. Beautiful. Any questions? All those in favour? Carried. Okay. 24.4, policy review 96, memorial plaques policy. Over to you, councillors. Councillor Hoyle.
move the recommendation.
Move the recommendation. Councillor Firth.
Question there.
Yep.
In here it talks about evidence supplied. Do we need to be more prescriptive about what the evidence is? That's a new conclusion.
Can I pass over to Acting Director McCauley for this one?
Through the Mayor, I'll just defer it back to you, Yorke.
Through yourself, Mayor. The evidence we're after is that the project associations have provided us with a letter of support that they're in favour of. We can potentially be more prescriptive in that, but that's essentially what we're after for this one.
Thank you.
So moved by Councillor Hoyle. Do we have a seconder for this one? Councillor Brothers. All those in favour? That's carried. Excellent. So 25.1, the implementation of the dry area at New Year's Eve Stansbury. I'll pass over to Councillor Meyer for your conflict of interest.
Thank you, Mayor. As I indicated earlier, it's my annual conflict of interest in relation to this matter. I'm going to be declaring a general conflict of interest for item 25.1. for the dry area New Year's Eve at Stansbury. The reason for it being declared is the item relates to implementing a dry zone where, due to my employment, I'm authorised to prosecute breaches of the relevant act. There could be a perception in the community that I should have no decision-making ability over an issue I could potentially prosecute. I intend to leave the chamber.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer. Okay, over to you, councillors. Any questions? Councillor Hoyle?
Move the recommendation.
Councillor Burt, second. Any questions? No? You ready to vote? All those in favour? That's carried. Item 25.2, policy review, 132, cemetery management policy. Over to you, councillors. Councillor O'Connor?
Happy to move that.
Excellent. That's seconded. Councillor Boyle? All those in favour? That's carried. And I think we've got one more policy here. No, 25.3. Did you? We better not say that. Okay. 25.3, policy review for number 74, native plant collection permits policy. We've got a recommendation there, councillors, over to you. Councillor Meyer? Happy to move that one. Seconder for that one. Councillor Murdoch. All those in favour? That's carried. And 25.4, policy review for number 83, authorisation to collect fallen timber policy. We have a recommendation for that one as well, councillors. Anyone like to move that? Councillor Meyer?
Happy to move it.
Seconder. Councillor Bittner. All those in favour? That's carried. Okay, so going into general business, I just wanted to mention that I'd like to thank Natalie McDonald. She has been our EA. I want to thank you for the time that you spent with council, and I think that I can speak on behalf of all the councillors. We have thoroughly enjoyed working with you and your commitment to the role. So all the best for your change in location and climate. And on that note, we'd like to welcome Ali to the EA as well. Any other general business from anyone tonight? No? So we're going to move into the Section 90 orders for our confidential items. So we're going to start with 27.1. Now, for these, we actually have two other staff members that aren't listed on here. So the Manager of Financial Services and the Operations Manager. So I'm going to suggest that we actually include them in the first four Section 90 orders if the councillors are okay with that. So with that amendment, would anyone like to move the Section 90 order for 27.1 Corny Point Road Drainage Improvement Works tender? Councillor Boyle, seconded by Councillor Leffer. All those in favour? That's carried. 27.2 Marine Asset Management Plan tender. Councillor Hoyle, seconded by Councillor Bittner. All those in favour? That's carried. 27.3 purchase of 2 new combination rollers tender. Councillor O'Connell, seconded by Councillor Stock. All those in favour? That's carried. 27.4 purchase of 2 new tractors tender. Councillor Clerk, seconded by Councillor Johns. All those in favour? That's carried. And then we have, sorry, they were the ones that included the other two staff members. These last two are as they are written. So 27.5 complaint council member behaviour received the 2nd of September 2024. Someone like to move that section 90 order. Councillor Laffer, seconded by Councillor Hoyle. All those in favour? That's carried. And 27.6 complaint council member behaviour received 13th of October 2024. Councillor Clerk, seconded by Councillor Meyer. All those in favour? That's carried. I'd like to thank the gallery for their attendance. That concludes the open part of the meeting, so we'll now be going in confidence.